For the students of English literature honors criticism paper, I am here by reciting an essay on St. Coleridge. It is by means of these two conceptions of Shakespeare as a great artist and a great poet that Coleridge achieves what is, after all, the end of his criticism. The end of his criticism is to communicate to the readers those thrills of wonder and exaltation which he has felt in contact with Shakespeare's imaginative works. He has tried to point out how to understand Shakespeare, but not how to judge Shakespeare. That is why T.S. Eliot says it is impossible to understand Shakespeare's criticism today without a familiar acquaintance with Coleridge's lectures and notes. Such an acquaintance is indispensable to understand Shakespeare himself. Coleridge is, above all others, the interpreter of Shakespeare. He revealed for the first time the immense range of Shakespeare's genius. He did not accept the French contention about Shakespeare that he was a wild, irregular genius. In the prescribed extract from Biographia Literaria, Coleridge has pointed out the symptoms of poetic power in course of critically analyzing Shakespeare's Venus and Adonis and Lucrece. He says that the first and the most obvious excellence in Venus and Adonis is the perfect sweetness of the versification. He regards the delight in richness and sweetness of sound as a highly favorable promise in the compositions of a young man. The man that has not music in his soul can indeed never be a great poet. The sense of musical delight, with the power of producing it, may be cultivated and improved, but can never be learned. He says that the second promise of a genius is the choice of subjects very remote from the private interests and circumstances of the writer himself. In the Venus and Adonis, this proof of poetic power exists even to excess. He shows the flux and reflux of the character's mind in all its subtlest thoughts and feelings without participating himself in their passions. You seem to be told everything but to see and hear everything. The third characteristic of a genius is the beautiful presentation of an image. But images, however beautiful, do not of themselves characterize a great poet. They became proofs of original genius only as far as they are modified by a predominant passion, or when they have the effect of reducing multitude into unity. Shakespeare has surpassed all other poets in this respect. His images burst upon us at once in life and in power, unaided by any previous excitement. Full mercy, a glorious meaning have I seen, flattered the mountain tops with sovereign eye. The last and the most characteristic of a genius is depth and energy of thought. No man was ever yet a great poet without being at the same time a profound philosopher of philosophers. In the words of Coleridge, poetry is the blossom and fragrancy of all human knowledge, human thoughts, human passions, languages. Shakespeare first studied patiently, meditated deeply, understood minutely, till his knowledge became habitual mode of expression. This gave birth to that power by which he stands alone, with no equal or second in his class. The very power seated him on one of the two glory-sweetened summits of the poetic mountain, with Milton as his contemporary, Milton as his competitor, not rival. The achievement of Coleridge is rightly held to be supreme among the English critics. He is the whole movement in himself, the first and the last of his time. The object of Coleridge's criticism is not analysis, but a theoretical certainty to reduce criticism to a system. He has stated himself in Biographia Literaria to establish the principles of writing rather than to furnish rules how to pass judgment on what has been written by others. This is the language of a theoretical critic. For Coleridge, only a theory of poetic creation matters. He analyzes not so much poems as they exist, but the creative act which makes them what they are. For 18th century critics, a poem is simply there, and it is the variety or uniformity of human reactions to it that is worth discussion. With Coleridge, creation is a central, but for Coleridge, a poem is not a medium, and you cannot write it off as Johnson or I. Richards would do by taking it to pieces and showing that it does not work. It is for better or worse evidence of a historical event, tempting inquiry into origins and sources. Thank you, friends. On your request, I have submitted this criticism on Coleridge.